Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard if you're brand new. Welcome back if you're not. Welcome home if that sits perfectly for you today. Today we're talking about what is up in terms of astrology and energy for the week of the 9th through the 15th of June 2025. Listen, this is what I want to say about this week. It is navigable, but we're getting into kind of a rough stretch of road. Um, and I know, before you say a single word there that goes like this, Eileen, it's not been the easiest of years. I'm down with it, but I'm also going to say we are coming into speed bumps, right? There are a lot of things that are going to be moving now. And so, sometimes we talk about that buckle up energy. I want to say this is that place, but I also want to say it's also a place to really exercise um, deliberation and control of yourself at this point in time. There are going to be a lot of moving parts, and there's going to be a lot of things happening around you. That does not mean that they have to affect you. Okay? So at this point in time, what I'm saying is self control is really important, especially now. All right, let's get in on it and listen. Monday, the 9th of June, there are so many aspects that happened that I had to use two. I know this means nothing to you because you don't know what my process is, but for the first time I ever had to use two columns to note um, what I generally note. So here we go. The Scorpio moon squares Mars, quincunxes Chiron, Mercury in Cancer squares Saturn. Okay. Uh, the Scorpio moon will oppose Uranus and quincunx. Jupiter, um, the moon moves into Sagittarius. That Sag moon is going to trine Saturn. Venus in Taurus squares retrograding Pluto. Okay. The Sag moon will quincunx Mercury and trine Neptune. Jupiter moves into Capricorn, 4:02 p.m. Central. Okay. The Sag moon sextiles Pluto, quincunxes Venus, and Mercury squares Neptune. That is three major aspect squares and Jupiter's movement. Okay. This is a big day. Now, here's the thing, depending on where you live, you might get this reference or not, but it is a pothole day. This is pothole season. Okay. That Mercury square Saturn, that Venus square Pluto, that Mercury square Neptune, plus Jupiter moving into Cancer. There is no way to sugarcoat it, right? You might end up being your own worst enemy today if you cannot mind your own business, if you cannot zip your lip, right? The likelihood that your words will fall on ears that want to hear you well, in the correct way that you are intending, in the spirit in which your words are coming out of your mouth, right? The, the likelihood that your words are going to fall onto those ears is very small on Monday. Very small. Um, the best bet, honestly, is to keep to yourself. Mind your business on Monday, right? Stay inside. And whether that means in your house or in your heart or in your head or keeping those words in your mouth, um, that's going to have to be your own judgment, right? Uh, Jupiter moving into Cancer is going to highlight your home as your castle. What that means to you is your interpretation, certainly, right? That Venus squaring Pluto retrograde truly asks you to inspect the foundations, right? It is no accident that this happens just a couple of hours before Jupiter moves into Cancer. Inspect your foundations, right? Do that work because we have a year of Jupiter in Cancer, and that is that is a necessary piece of the work this season. So do not be afraid to do it, and remember that that Venus involvement always escorts us back to home, right? Home being what that is for you, what home smells like, looks like, tastes like, feels like, sounds like. This is a highlight, right? Pluto in Aquarius in retrograde, squaring Venus in Taurus. What is in the way of your full experience of those aspects of home? Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. And don't be afraid to dig to find the answer to what is in the way, right? Don't be afraid to dig to find that answer. It is critical work now. On Tuesday, we have two more major aspects. Mars in Leo trines Chiron, and Mercury in Cancer quincunxes retrograding Pluto. So, as you are processing Monday's revelations, do not step off the ledge or the curb just yet. Take time to sift and sort what you found as you were doing this digging, right? Mercury aspects Pluto again in a staticky kind of way. So remember that sometimes those gems are hidden among the mud and dirt. Um, Here's the thing, as you're uh, telling your new story, right? Tell it to yourself first, and maybe even tell it out loud, right? Because you have to know that it makes sense to you first. Sharing that story can come later, but practice your tale on yourself first. Um, it, it matters, okay? It matters. It has to make sense, and it has to make sense to you. So tell your story to you first. On Wednesday, that Sag moon is going to oppose the sun. Full moon, 20 Sag, right? That's 2:44 a.m. Central Time. That Sag moon will trine Chiron. Mercury sextiles Venus. Um, that Sag moon will trine Mars and quincunx Uranus before the moon moves into Capricorn in the evening. That Cap moon will oppose Jupiter and square Saturn. So again, right, this Sag moon, Sag full moon, comes in with some strong home themes, right? With this Mercury sextiling Venus, home, home, right? Um, so these are insights into your patterns, right? Remember, this full moon is going to illuminate. All full moons illuminate. The light is bright. You can see everything. So the patterns that you get to witness now are the way that you get things done or not. Okay. Remember, this is a Sag full moon. So it's about your experience. It's about your, the way that you create meaning through your experience. All right. So here's the deal. If we're looking at patterns and the way that we get things done or not, the upside to that is to witness and claim responsibility for those patterns, right? Because that is the beginning um, of necessary change, right? What do they say? Knowing you have a knowing you have a pattern is the first step. right? You either get to recognize it and say, let me double down on that because I think it's wonderful. It's really getting me closer to my core desired values, my shared goals, my list of purpose, right? Or it is not. And I see now in this light of this full moon how I can um, either adjust that or release something so that I can change it and get closer. Um, so that full moon is here to illuminate those patterns, right? Because this full moon is so enmeshed in our awarenesses about home and even family, right? If you're contemplating starting a journey with therapy or a new kind of therapy or some new self exploration, now might be a good time. And I will say, I read a beautiful thing the other day on Facebook that said, uh, if you're looking at doing self work, we're in collective trauma. So just give that up. Right now is not the time. I'm gonna disagree with that. um, I think when we're in collective trauma, there is no better time to do self work, right? So um, take it as your own interpretation. You always get to do what you want. But if you've been contemplating finding a new therapeutic modality, now might be a great time to do that, especially in the light of that full moon, right? Sag is all about experience. So you might make it something that's active, right? Something somatic, um, something engaging, something allows you to really easily shift your meaning. Um, it might be a good thing. Thursday, the 12th, on that Cap Moon squares Neptune, trines Venus, and opposes Mercury. So on Thursday, you might struggle with the line between illusion and fantasy today. Um, and here's the deal: if you are struggling to get stuff done, if you're off in some beautiful mental side quest, right? Um, ask yourself what is the most important and be okay with the answer, right? If getting stuff done is a necessity, then get stuff done. You can always reel back and find that beautiful destination in your head later. Absolutely, you can. But there might be some beautiful answers available in your kind of day tripping, right? That you need to see. So if that's the case, breathe and give your imagination free rein, because sometimes that liminal space is full of magic and things that we need, right? So don't discount um, the unseen just because you can't see it, even under a cap moon. Yes, that's what I said. On Friday the 13th, did you hear me say Friday the 13th? Yes, you did. Yes, 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 yes. If you are a triskaidekaphobic, I am sorry. If you are a triskaidekaphile, welcome to the club. Um, on Friday the 13th, that cap moon is going to sextile the sun. I'm sorry, quincunx the sun, and square Chiron. Um, right? So Friday the 13th is always an extra powerful day. And it also happens to be the very best day of the week to get it done today, to decide, to show up, to respond, right? Um, Here's the thing: make sure that you are falling in line, though, because the focus is in the now, not in the then, right? So show up. And in order to show up, you must be in the present. So be in the present on Friday and only in the present on Saturday the 14th. That cat moon, wow, quincunx is Mars and trines Uranus before moving into Aquarius at 6 o'clock in the morning Central Time. That Aquarius moon will then quincunx Jupiter, sextile Saturn and Venus, conjunct Pluto. How exciting. and square Venus. Here's the deal. Your options are abundant on Saturday. Yeah, your options are abundant. Do something that you have never done, right? Say yes to something that you might not ordinarily say yes to. Try something new. Go to a new restaurant. Engage, indulge, right? Saturday absolutely demands that the unexplored get explored. So see what you can do about that. Have some fun, right? Now, let's talk about Sunday. On Sunday, the 15th of June, Mars in Leo squares Uranus in Taurus. Okay. That Aquarius moon sext quincunxes Mercury, who has had a busy week to begin with, and Jupiter in Cancer squares Saturn. Jupiter squares Saturn on frickin' Father's Day. Okay, so listen, that Mars squaring Uranus and Jupiter squaring Saturn absolutely makes Sunday very charged, um, very potentially full of kind of clash and clatter energy, right? Loud energy, um, seismically triggering energy, electric energy. So here's the deal. If you are spending Father's Day with your family, please be mindful of any kind of authoritarian or argumentative patterns. There is absolutely real potential for incendiary expressions on Sunday. So mind your engagement. Very seriously know when to very seriously know when to leave, and very seriously know when it might be better to stay home, right? This is a theme this week, right? This is your inner castle. Um, so understand that this week is an engagement not required week, very much so. So, with that said, let's talk. On Monday, we have the Queen of Swords and the Nine of, oh, I lie, the Queen of Wands, hello, and the Nine of Cups. How beautiful, right? So that's kind of yummy energy for an interesting day. Um, Here's the deal. We talked about how your words might fall on deaf ears, right? That there might be a need for you to uh, engulf yourself in your own energy, right? Nines are always about self sufficiency. So make your emotional state your own responsibility and live within it, right? You can be anything and anybody you want inside your own head and heart and soul. So do that, right? There's no need not to. And it might be your very safest option because within that bound of your own emotional stability, right, you do get to create, you do get to express yourself in beautiful, passionate terms. And with all of those squares and Jupiter moving into Cancer, your interior castle is absolutely open for redecoration, right? Do whatever it is you want to do. Do whatever it is you need to do. Paint the walls, hang a tapestry, rearrange the furniture. Nobody's going to complain when it's your own castle, right? Nobody's going to misinterpret when it's your own castle. Nobody's going to complain that they don't like the decor in your own castle. So do that work. Do it. Paint it whatever color you want. Put glitter on the walls. I don't care. If you love it, I love it too. On Tuesday, Queen of Cups and the Sun, right? Okay, so we have similar energies today. Similar, more, uh, more interior castle energy, right? Um, and more shining, right? More passion. So here's the deal. Remember, we talked about this as the day not to step off the ledge, to stay interior. Absolutely. Um, and remember that sometimes those things that you dig up, sometimes the things you find under the rug as you're redecorating need a little bit of washing. Well, guess what? You can wash it. It's all good. right? Tell your story to yourself first. And if it sounds beautiful, you can always share it later. But if you need to edit it, if you need to change something as you speak it out loud, if you hear a thing that doesn't resonate with you, right, that doesn't feel crowned and whole, you have the capacity to change it beautifully before you let it hit the airwaves, right? So tell your story to yourself as big as you want before you let it out into the public sphere. Look at these. I mean, these are some big pairs this week. On Wednesday, this is the day of that full moon. Okay, so we talked about this as that day to really claim your patterns, right? So we have this beautiful Ace of Swords, and as we know, aces are gifts from the universe, things the universe gives us that we have to then grasp, say thank you for, and put into action. We can't hold on to an ace. We can't put it in our pocket. We can't shove it in a drawer. It has to be utilized. They don't keep. Aces don't keep, right? So we have this beautiful Four of Wands, right? This is really beautiful energy, right? Because what we know is this is a great week internally, right? This is a great week inside your own space. So, how is it that you're witnessing these things in your own space? You know, quite often I will say we do our work in private so that we can test it in public, right? This is one of those times where we are doing that work in private. This is that week, especially, well, I'm going to, knowing what's coming astrologically and energetically, I will say this is one of those seasons, right? Right now, there's a lot of internal work that we need to do. Excuse me. So sorry. I'm getting over it, right? Um, so the fact of the matter is that you want to now really be taking all of those awarenesses and finding how they work in your internal tale, right? Where do I put this in my story? How do I rearrange that in my story? How do I rework this pattern in in the reality that it is that I'm conjuring, right? In this quantum timeline that I'm making all of the choices for. How do I choose differently? Well, guess what? All you do is make that choice. But these are things we have to know. So again, we talked about there might be some patterns that come up at this full moon where you go, "Oh, I didn't see that before. How does that work for me? Does that work for me? Do I want to keep it?" Guess what? If you do, you get to keep it. And if you don't, out it goes. You don't need it if it's not working in conjunction with the trajectory that you're choosing. If it's not in alignment with your values, with your mission, with your purpose, then out it goes. But you get to figure out where those places are this week, right? You have all this illumination from this full moon. This is a Sag full moon. What do you want to do to put it in action, right? In action. On Thursday, Three of Pentacles, the Tower. What an interesting pair for this day, right? So we're talking about struggling perhaps with the line between illusion and fantasy. Here's the deal. Somebody might say something to you on Thursday that brings you back. Oh, shoot, maybe I have been out wool gathering. Oh, maybe I have been kind of half in, half out. Guess what? That's okay, right? That's okay. We just had a Sag full moon, and Sag is that energy of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? So that's okay. What did you learn though, right? So pay attention to the things that trigger you or the statements that people around you might make today. Just pay attention and listen because one of them might blow your mind, right? One of them might be that thing you need. So don't discount anything. Listen with all of your antenna, right? Not just your ears. Listen with all of your antenna for that one thing that just goes, oh, that I didn't know I needed that, but boy, did I need it, right? It might come up. You never know. Talking about fantasy and reality. So we get Seven of Cups and the Knight of Wands on Friday the 13th. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, right? We talked about this as the day to get stuff done. Absolutely. Absolutely. And make sure that you're in the now, right? This is the Seven of Cups, right? He can easily be distracted. He can easily fall back into this energy of somewhere out there, right? But you have to be in the now to make the choice, right? So it doesn't matter how many options you have to be in the present, fully, fully aligned to make the choice, the right choice in that moment. So just remind yourself, oh, back here is where I am. Okay, sure, 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 sure. Listen, on Saturday, Eight of Cups, Five of Swords. We talked about this as a day to do something exciting, right? Walk away from anything that is mundane, that is banal, that is routine. Walk away from it. Do something exciting, right? Remember, your options are abundant. Do something you've never done. And don't get in your way about it. Don't be like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to argue with the experience because I want to argue with the experience. You can do that. Go right ahead. No one will stop you, but you might keep yourself from something wonderful. So argue if you want. Go ahead. But the unexplored is demanding to be explored today. This is the card of the soul quest. Don't argue with your soul quest for Pete's sake. Get out there and do something great. And on Sunday, dude, Page of Swords, Three of Swords. Again, we talked about this as a rough day energetically. Um, Swords, remember our ideas, words, thoughts, concepts, right? The way that we communicate is in sword energy. So we have the page and the three, right? This is about loss, betrayal, sadness, heartache. These are the words that hurt, right? And so even if these are old wounds, it doesn't matter. Sometimes old wounds hurt just as much. And we have this beautiful page here bringing these swords to us. So guess what? If you want a new idea, if you want a new experience, you can have it. If you go with that traditional energy and you know that the places you're going to go and show up are the places that traditionally have these kind of incendiary words or ideas or concepts, right? If you're going to have to try and fit yourself back into a tiny little box that you occupied for your entire childhood or life or relationship with someone um, just because you belong to them biologically or through obligation, give yourself a new idea, right? There is absolutely that potential for um, explosive communication, right? So mind your engagement. Know when to shut up, know when to leave, and know when to potentially stay home, right? Speed bumps, y'all. Speed bumps. How do you clear your karma? You clear your karma when you learn about your patterns. We have a full moon in Sag. We have all these squares. And guess what? Squares are just opportunities to learn something. Squares ask you to be in mastery of two differing kinds of energy. And once you learn the lessons of a square, you have the power, right? Because squares are, look at that, powerful, right? They hold things up. So if you work a square, if you really gather the information and learn the lesson of the square, that's how you clear your karma. Yes, it is. Um, you're not for everyone. Embrace your weirdness. Face your true north. All right. I like it. My Aquarius rising likes that a lot. Okay, the world is filled with people who, no matter what you do, just won't like you. But it's also filled with those who love you fiercely. Those are your people. You're not for everyone, and that's okay. Talk to the people who can hear you. We talked about this early in the week, right? We did. Don't waste your precious time and gifts trying to convince others of your value. They won't ever want what you're selling. Don't try to convince them to walk alongside you. You'll be wasting both your time and theirs, and it will likely inflict unnecessary wounds that will take precious time to heal. You're not for them, and they're not for you. Politely wave them on and continue on your way, right? Sharing your path with someone is a sacred gift. Don't cheapen it by rolling yours in the wrong direction. Keep facing your true north. Again, this is that week where you are internally directed, right? At every single turn, you get to pick. So pay attention to your alignment, right? Pay attention. Pulling this card means that you're being called to embrace your uniqueness, to own your weirdness, to let the world see who you really are, right? To reveal your multifaceted, multidimensional nature, not to dim your light according to who is in your presence. Yes, big deal. To own all parts of yourself so that your people, the ones who are the same kind of weird as you, can recognize you when your paths cross, right? Again, we learn our lessons in private so that we can put them into action in relationship. Until you are clear on who you are, what you are, how you're in service, where you're going, what you want to put into the world, right? What is my mission? What is my purpose? These are the questions of this period, right? We talked about it, speed bumps. What is a speed bump? It's an awareness. It makes you slow down and go, oh, wait a minute. What was that? Pay attention to the things that are coming up for you. They matter, and they matter more now because this is a pivotal shift period. So if you can pay attention and really get clear on your mm, on your alignment, right? On your house, on your castle. If you can get clear on that, that's really all you need to do. Then your castle speaks for itself, right? All right, guys. Happy full moon. Be blessed. See you next time.